Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, now we had talked last week
Yeah.
about starting the show with 3 hours of silence.
Yes. Yes.
And then maybe having a per minute charge for listening to it.
Well, I think, yes, because obviously that amount of silence is at a premium now. I mean, think what you have to pay for a Super Bowl ad, and that's 30 seconds of noise.
Yeah.
So for 3 hours of silence, it should be infinitely more expensive.
I agree.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is let's record our session for today.
Yes.
And then maybe in the edit we can go back and put in the 3 hours of silence that'll come before that.
I agree.
I think
that's probably the best way. Let's check with Blake.
Blake?
Blake says stuff. Okay.
Blake left this week.
Blake left. Who is that in there?
That's Jenny.
Jenny. Oh, yeah. Jenny. Yes, of course. Yeah. I see now with the hair.
Yeah. Jenny's a student.
Jenny.
And, she's agreed to
come.
It's a great opportunity for her.
It is.
It is. Jenny, thank you for being here today.
And when you say Jenny's a student, I assume you mean she's a middle school student?
Yes, she's a middle school student. I'm supposed to be babysitting right now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, she's good, and it looks like she's obviously sitting on a box or something to reach the controls.
Yes. Well, that's not so much the controls as it is her iPad. I think she's on Facebook right now.
Okay.
But yeah, that's part of her spiritual process.
Well, I just want to take a second and just honor that.
Mm-hmm. And let's honor Jenny.
And just honor Jenny and her journey.
In her journey.
It's very important.
It's time to think better.
That's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
Perfectly natural.
Perfectly normal behavior.
I think
to sit at home by yourself all day with the television off, staring at the wall.
Live better.
I said yes. And then I walked away. Because I felt like at that point, she needed to know that I knew where the peanut butter was.
Be better.
Should people listen to this podcast with their clothes on?
No, absolutely not.
The 11% Better Life with JW and Karl.
Okay, well, I'm JW Myers.
And I'm Karl Brubaker.
And welcome to the 11% Better Life.
The podcast where we work with people to create a life that's about 11% better.
Because any more would be too much.
And any less would be disappointing.
And the world has enough disappointment already.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
It is. And, there's really, really good news.
Yeah?
This week we now have over 2 million subscribers.
Incredible.
2 million subscribers.
Incredible. I'm going to take a moment.
Can we just send some energy and some honor to our 2 million subscribers?
So it's important where if you're listening on your phone or some sort of device, hold it up to push it hard against your forehead.
Right there where your third eye is.
Yes, into your third eye.
Into your third eye, which is the creases in your forehead.
If you concentrate hard, I think you can feel the energy that we are pushing through this now.
If your forehead looks like Karl's, the phone will actually probably stick there in the crease.
It is entirely possible.
Yes.
But that's okay. That actually gets this into your third eye and into your chakra system that much faster. If you can just stick the phone to your forehead.
Stick the phone there. Okay, so let's do that. And here come the vibes.
Here they are.
Here they are. Meeny, 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 meeny. Okay.
All right.
Now, I know that for some of you listening for the first time, that probably sounds a little silly.
It probably sounds a little silly, yes.
But this comes from literally a lifetime of work.
Yes.
That many lifetimes of work that Karl and I have been doing together.
Yes.
And we're working at a vibrational level that it may seem silly to some.
It may, but I think really, when you explain it in the right way, I think it's more than obvious. I mean, I think we all have that sense that everything is connected, that life is a web, and that what the energy I put out affects other people's energy, and I think that obviously once you realize that, when you then realize that we are just sound
Yes.
vibrating at certain frequencies
Right.
in the 12th dimension. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like that. I feel like that's obvious.
Well,
I feel silly. I feel silly explaining it.
I know. Karl, I think that maybe we should kind of put a little damper on this because we're getting a little bit too complex for some of our listeners.
Right.
Remember,
That's
we
true.
really
That's
have to meet them where we are and
Right.
not just bring Ergotron into the conversation right
No.
away. And Ergotron's teaching,
Right.
And when Ergotron channeled through my dog, Oscar,
Right. Correct.
and the way that he spoke that night.
I remember. I
Yeah.
remember it was so surprising because I felt like, Ergotron had been visiting me in
Yes.
my dreams, in my dreamscape.
Sure.
And so for him to manifest his voice through Oscar, do you remember what he said?
Yeah. It was. If I'm going to try to get the phraseology right.
Right.
But it was like.
And I think,
Yeah.
and that is a teaching that I've taken with me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that kind of says it all.
Yeah. It really, inside, I reflect on that. Sort of like a mantra.
It does.
I will, repeat that over and over when I'm meditating.
Yeah. And don't forget to miss the right at the end.
It's the most important part.
I think
It really
with
is
the
most
emphasis
important
on
part.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the podcast, folks. Now, remember, if you have a question for us, please post it to the Movie Brewdio Facebook page. There have been, so many questions posted this week.
It's been just crazy.
With 2 million subscribers, it's getting a little bit difficult to keep up with all the feedback that we've been getting.
Right.
So I just encourage you that, if we're not getting back to you right away, I encourage you to keep posting, and at some point, Karl or I, or
Yes.
our sound technician Jenny.
Maybe Jenny.
or-
Jenny is very good, I guess, with the Facebook.
Yeah,
Being
yeah,
in
she's
middle school.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge staff of people working here. Someone will get back to you with your question. And
Absolutely.
while we are on the subject of animals. Okay.
Oh, okay. Very
So
good.
this is from someone named PETA. I guess like the character in the Hunger Games,
or like the bread, like the
yeah, PETA,
okay,
something
sure.
PETA. Okay,
Okay.
PETA, PETA. This note is to publicly shame you for the discussion of the cruel treatment of animals in your podcast last week. You suggested all kinds of outlandish things, including holding an animal upside down by their paws. How people like you get a show where you are in the public eye is beyond me. We are also offended by the way that you talk down to dogs during your podcast For Dogs segment. Everything about your show is disgusting, and we wish you a quick failure. Signed, PETA.
Interesting.
That's some interesting feedback on the show.
And I just want to say, PETA, thank you. First, let's take a minute and just honor that.
Absolutely.
Because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of bravery.
Sure.
To reach out like that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's so beautiful that PETA can own those feelings about herself or himself.
Right. And, some of these, sometimes, we try not to take things personally.
Sure.
And I think sometimes that the feedback like this is a cry for help.
Right.
Is really
Yes.
a cry for help.
Right.
By PETA.
Yeah.
Because they're, experiencing some anger, and so they want to lash out at
Right.
the closest target. And that closest target, of course, being our 11% better show.
Yeah, I think I try and live the ancient teaching, which says basically it's complicated. So it really reduces down to sort of I'm rubber, right?
Right, you're rubber,
and you're sort of, I guess it would translate as glue.
Glue, okay.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And so what you say towards me is not about me. It's about it's really a comment on you.
Right.
And so since I'm rubber, it just bounces off.
So I'm rubber, you're glue.
Right.
Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, all of our ascended masters have said some version of
very,
that.
Very similar.
Saint Germain.
Yes.
Krishna, I know, had a bit about that as well.
Yes.
Jesus.
I am an ardent follower. I'm a big
Really?
fan. I'm a big fan of his work.
Really?
Yes, very much so.
What's your favorite Jesus quote?
There was it's so hard to pick. I mean, obviously he's had such a big impact. So I think it was probably his Sermon on the Mount. When he said, y'all be cool with each other.
Oh.
And I'm paraphrasing.
I think that kind of caught the intent of it there. Y'all be cool with each other.
Y'all be cool with each other. And then there was a musical number, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It's been a couple years since I really dug into the teachings of Jesus, but just what a performer that guy.
My goodness.
Just incredible.
Absolutely.
He's really somebody that I think you could
now
really
you
pat
met
in your
him
life on.
before.
I did, yes.
Yeah. Tell us about your encounter with him.
It wasn't in this vibrational state.
Oh, okay. So this is
This goes back, through the 12th dimension. You would think that he was really tall, but he wasn't. He was maybe only like 5'5", kind of average height. And I think that's the thing that I really want to bring forward to people.
Interesting.
When you hear the teachings of Jesus, don't think of him as a tall guy. He was really
just a little guy.
He was just a little guy.
Okay.
Had of a wee little piping voice.
Wow.
It was, like, does anyone have any loaves and fishes? It was that, and just that kind of
This is how interesting.
Nicodemus, come down out of that tree. It was that. It was a very small voice, but what a guy. I mean, just a fantastic.
Yeah, we're still talking about him. When you have that kind of fame and you're still talking, that's amazing.
That Jesus can just pack him in.
Actually, there's another place. We got a comment actually on our iTunes page.
Yeah,
and I want to share this with you. Thank you for this podcast. The advice that you give in your podcast really changes lives.
Thank you.
And I need you to know how important that is. Thank you for all that you do to make the world a better place.
Wow.
Okay? Now, this was in the iTunes comment section. I just couldn't believe it. Just knowing that you change lives in that way is incredible.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Now, this comment in particular wasn't specifically on our iTunes page. I can't remember. It was either on Tim Ferriss's or the Minimalists or one of the other podcasts that are similar.
Yeah.
But you can see clearly that this is something that definitely applies to us. And since the internet is completely free, if you put a comment like that out there in public domain, then anyone can use it and anyone can take that, and it's like you apply it where it fits.
Well, like Jesus used to say, it takes a village.
It takes a
village.
It takes a village of an internet.
And really, I think that's a collective win. I mean, I think
is.
We're all in the same community of trying to change people's lives. And so when one person wins, I think we all win. When one person, gets a positive comment, I feel like that is shared among the community. That's just beautiful. I want to just take a minute.
Take that in.
And really
take that in. Thank you for this podcast.
Thank you.
The advice that you guys give in your podcast really changes lives, and I need you to know how important that is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
and look, again,
that is beautiful. And
all praise to Ergotron.
Absolutely.
And I want to say to Ergotron specifically, because he'll know what that is.
Yeah.
Hey,
listen. One of the things that has been a recurring question is our rule number 1 for the 11% Better Life.
Yes.
Which is, of course, get $1 million.
Yes, and I want to make sure people understand that really is the most important rule.
I know.
And the advice that we give is with the understanding that you have already completed that first rule, that you already have $1 million.
Exactly. Rule number 1, get $1 million. We can't emphasize that enough, people. If you want to make your life better, we are really encouraging you to go out there and get $1 million because money does make your life better.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah. Have you ever done a money bath?
Yeah, I had a money bath this morning.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Sometimes when I don't know if you've ever tried this, but sometimes when I take my money bath, what I'll do is I'll go and I'll exchange a lot of cash for Canadian money.
Oh.
Because then because of the exchange rate, my money bath is about 15 to 20% better.
I see. And
I aim to try and get it at 11% better.
Right.
But it's really hard to find a currency that fluctuates so much that'll stay at 11%.
I understand.
But if you really, if you really want to go all out, then you can convert it into a Zimbabwe dollar.
Oh yeah.
Because
then it's
because their inflation is just sky high, and it's like money bath. It's like Scrooge McDuck.
Oh yeah.
I mean, terrible, crippling poverty there, but it is an awesome money bath.
Yeah. So if you can, get through the terrible, crippling poverty while you're visiting Zimbabwe, we definitely recommend doing a money bath.
Just a big old money bath. I mean, hyperinflation, it gets a bad rap, but it's one heck of a money bath.
Now, here's the strange thing, though, Karl. Some people have expressed to us that the getting of $1 million has been challenging for them.
Right.
I know,
yeah.
And that's what do you say to someone like that? I mean, are we really playing for people at that level? Are we trying to get them to this level, or do we just kind of do we have to sort of let go?
I think you have to let that go.
Yeah.
Because the number one lesson that I give in private sessions, and when I'm on my tours, my lecture tours, is when people I say rule number 1, get $1 million. It's the most important rule, and once you get that, you're going to be amazed at how much easier the rest of these rules come to you.
Exactly.
And people reach out to me and they say, "But I can't get $1 million." You know what I say?
Yeah.
Not with that attitude, you can't.
Not with that attitude, you can't. Yeah, and I'm noticing this across a lot of, because I've been listening to some other self-help podcasts, and I'm noticing this goes runs a theme that runs through a lot of them.
Right.
That expectation is you must get the $1 million first. If you're not willing to get the $1 million first, most of this advice, making your life better, is really not going to apply.
It's going to be an uphill battle. But listen, don't take my word for it. Okay, I think we need to go back to Jesus, and we need to explore.
Let's go even further back to Ergotron.
Yes. And one of his fundamental teachings, cash rules everything around me.
Yes.
Cream, get the money, dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah. I mean, that says it all. That was part of the rap that he did when he came down that night, when he appeared to us in that vision.
I mean, it's been covered other times. I mean, that shows how that wisdom stretches through the eternity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that you just have to do it. You
have to get out there and get $1 million, people.
I mean, you just have to. You just have to go do it.
Enough with the cop-outs. Enough with the I'm not ready for the 11% Better Life program, folks. I hate to get fired up and really get harsh about this. But rule number 1, go out there and get $1 million.
Just do it.
Come on, get off your butt and get $1 million. Win the lottery. Invent something really cool. Sell a movie script.
That's right. Become a movie star.
Become a movie star. I mean, how hard is that? How hard is it to become a movie star?
I feel like it's just a cop-out. I feel like there are some people who just say, "Oh, well, I guess I can't be Madonna and make, hundreds of millions of dollars." Like, well, what kind of attitude is that?
Yeah. Like, what does she do?
I mean,
she dances.
Right.
And she's sexy.
And well, you're never going to be Tom Brady by saying I'm not going to be Tom Brady.
Well, that you're not now.
No.
You're not now.
That's right.
So
just do it. You just have to do it.
Get out there and get $1 million. I don't mean to get into the tough love part with our podcast here, but sometimes, Karl, I think you got to be tough with them. Get out there, get the $1 million. Now, which brings us to rule number 2.
Yeah.
Send us some of that money. Okay.
Yes.
Now, in other spiritual teachings, they ask for a 10% tithe.
Yes.
Not surprisingly, we asked for 11%.
11%.
Which again, 11. I'll do the math for you. 11% of $1 million is in the $250,000 to $300,000 range.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
Now
that's not an exact number, but it's in that range.
It's in that range.
I'm pretty good with math, so I kind of know.
Right.
And again, this is based on spiritual math.
Yes.
Not actual mathematics like you learned in school.
Well, spiritual math has compound interest.
Yes.
Worked in.
Built
it's
in.
added in.
Yeah.
Like when you take a large party to a restaurant.
Right.
And they add the tip to your bill. They just add the gratuity.
Uh-huh.
That is what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's always, so much more than you think it's going to be. But again, I take my word for it. Out of $1 million, that's in the $250,000 to $300,000 range.
Right.
So send that along first, and then you're spiritually sound.
Yeah, and I just want to say, for the people who have been sending their money in with gratuity included, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I
don't think we say that enough, Karl.
No, I agree. I think we always kind of forget.
You're welcome.
It's what we're here to do. Yeah.
It's gosh. And then of course rule number 3, as we've established so far, is repeat. Go back to rule number 1, get $1 million. Rule number 2, share 11% or it's about $266,000
right there,
when it comes right down to it.
Yeah.
And send that money to us. Lather, rinse, repeat. Lather, rinse, repeat.
You're going to be amazed at what happens to your life.
At the cycle of change in your life. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's some incredible things are going to start happening. I think really that's really when the secrets of Ergotron really start to open up.
I think so.
Yeah. So the important thing is when you send in your first 266, 280,000, whatever you would decide to send. It's really important at that point that you start paying attention to your dog.
Yeah.
Because that is how this is going. That's how the enlightenment is going to start.
Well, and that's how
through.
Ergotron usually starts to seep in.
Yeah.
You start to see him in animal behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we did get another letter this week.
Oh, again, fantastic!
Because
fantastic.
We said some things I think on the show last week that I think kind of they made people think. I mean, they were definitely right into it. So this gem, my kids somehow stumbled onto your train wreck of a show last week, and I overheard you saying that 3 to 6 year olds should learn history from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Of course.
SMH. Now, what does that... She made him?
SMH.
Sheep, margin, Hagar.
I think it's...
Sheep, silly mad hater.
Silly mad hater.
Silly mad hater.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
Karl, here comes the mirror. Doot, doot, doot,
right.
doot, doot, doot.
Look, I can't tell you, if you don't see the historical wisdom of Game of Thrones, I don't even know where to start in that conversation.
Last week we got into dragons. We were just talking about dragons, the history of dragons.
Of course.
How else are we going to learn about dragons?
I don't know. I literally don't know.
Did you play Dungeons and Dragons?
I don't. I am in a real life game of Dungeons and Dragons right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm a cleric.
Really?
I'm 8th level.
That is amazing.
Right. But
I'm a paladin.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, well.
I don't know what that is so much. I just like saying that I'm a paladin.
Paladin.
I'm a paladin.
But we, when I get home, me and some of the puppets, we act out our adventures.
Really?
It's
that is awesome.
Yeah. It's sort of a.
Do you have the dice?
Yeah,
because I lost so many of the dice, so I just use the 6-sided ones now rather than the 20 and the 12 and the 10 and the 8.
What I did was I glued a couple dice together.
Oh yeah, because it's 6 plus 6. If you glue 2 6-sided dice together, then you have a 12-sided dice.
Now I will say that that's
a die.
A die.
I don't like saying. I was always uncomfortable with saying die.
No,
it was like, give me the die, give me the die. Oh yeah, okay.
It really upsets the puppets.
I had a friend, one of my friends that I played with when I was a kid. He one time said, may I have the die? He's no longer with us. Okay?
That's just spooky.
Yeah. You want to know what happened?
What happened?
Well, I mean, he was a 35-year-old that played with us kids. So, he aged out and died of natural causes probably 40 years later.
Right.
But I think it was because the natural causes happened because he said, give me the die.
And who knows how much energy that took off the end of his life.
Yeah.
He could still be alive now.
Yeah.
But there's no way to know. That's spooky when you think about it.
Yeah.
See, now I prefer playing with, 8 different die just glued together because that's a personal style. But what I would recommend...
So if you put 8 together times a 6, then you have a 48-sided die.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we play in multiple dimensions.
Oh, okay.
So, you've heard of multidimensional.
No,
Dungeons
I
and
haven't.
Dragons. Right. So we're playing. So there's the corporeal level that our vibration exists on.
Right. Sure.
In physical form. And then we're also playing in the 9th dimension. Right, which is the dimension of imagination.
Yeah, of course.
And we're playing in the 10th dimension, which is the puppet dimension.
Okay.
And and so you need to get at least those 3 dimensions going. So you need multiple die glued together. It's really the only way to play.
How do you know when someone wins?
I feel like it's not really even about winning. It's really just about the journey. Yeah. Yeah. Because the games are cyclical. Again, like that snake eating its tail. Like we talked about last week.
So everybody gets sick when you play.
Yeah, because it's, like a snake eating like a circle and a spiral.
But sickness is part of life.
Sickness is part of life.
Yeah.
And so you just have to accept that. And so we play. We've had a game going for about it's been about 8.5 years.
Really?
Just every day.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we've settled into sort of the domestic part of the game now. So it's not as much sword and sorcery fantasy. It's a little more grounded in reality.
Sure.
We're doing our taxes right now.
Okay. Yeah.
So
but that's part of life, and that was the dimensions of Dungeons and Dragons that were always, all the romantic stuff's fine. Hey, let's cast a spell. Hey, let's slay a dragon. But it's like, well, who's going to make breakfast and take the kids to school?
Exactly. And, you got to itemize.
Yeah.
If you want deductions. So,
exactly.
So we're also, we kind of veer into the 11th dimension.
Sure.
Which is sort of a CPA, kind of accountant dimension. We don't want to get too deep into that dimension because it's pretty complicated, but it's a great part. I feel like that's a big part of my spiritual journey as well. But I would say, if you don't want to glue the die together,
right?
There's a great company called Generalissimo Dynamo, and they make the 64-sided die.
Wow!
It's about the size of a softball,
right?
And it's a little pricey. I mean, it's a little bit more because I think your regular 12-sided die are $2 or $3.
Right. So the 64. Well, you'd have to
64. This one is about $1,700.
So that's about right if you do the math. If you're paying per side,
right? So for if you're listening and you're going like $1,700, you should probably just buy one to start with. Like, don't buy a set, because they're 10 in a set, and that you just start with one.
Okay.
For $1,700 and see how that goes, and if that really helps your gaming, because I think it's going to take you. It's going to take you to multiple dimensions.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When you start rolling die I said it again.
Yeah.
Dices. Can I say dices?
I think dices.
Dices is a better word if we just start saying it. If you roll dices like that.
Yeah.
That'll be better.
I think that.
Yeah.
Or we could just call it.
It's just safer.
Or
you don't
just
want to go rolling off into another dimension. That's crazy.
Just call it the D. When you roll the D, or like when you're handling the D. Mm-hmm. Would that work?
That makes me think of basketball. Then I just want to play basketball. Good D. Good D, man.
Good D.
Good D. I never knew what they meant when they said that.
Really?
No, I didn't. They would always tell me, try to play some good D out there, J-Dub. Go do some good D.
Some good D.
Good D out there.
Right.
And I didn't know. I mean, I was always almost a straight B student.
Right.
And I didn't get any D's, so I never knew what they meant. It's just that always happened in church.
I hear it now when people are like, that girl over there wants the D. And I would just assume that it meant dice or maybe it means defense.
I guess defense.
Defense.
Well, that would make much more sense.
That would really make a lot of sense
in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Maybe it's like the D. It's D and D. I know some people do call it that. Maybe the D stands for D and D. Mm-hmm. It's an abbreviation of an abbreviation. It's a double abbreviation.
Absolutely.
Abbreviation squared is what they call it. Yeah. Maybe I assume that's what it is. Mm-hmm. So anyway, great question. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. The support that we're getting here, SMH. So send us your ideas on what SMH means.
Yeah,
I mean, it must be something complimentary because some of what she said before that could be taken in kind of an insulting way.
Right.
But the fact that she ended it with SMH, that kind of.
Right.
I know that it means something definitely sweet there.
Yeah, and again, I know it's hard. And history is not super interesting, but that's why I think what she's probably saying is that when they make Game of Thrones for TV, they do have to condense, and they have to maybe change a character here or there, so it's not the true historical document that you would read in the book.
Right. Sure.
So maybe we should amend that and say, kids, when you're watching Game of Thrones, remember. Maybe not everything you see is historical fact, but if you go back to the books, that's going to give you, that's really where they can flesh it out, and you can really see how all those pieces fit together.
But the thing that they don't necessarily tell, the opening title sequence, that was actually filmed in it's the 11th or the 12th century.
It was in the 12th century.
Yeah, that was actually filmed then. That was what started the whole Game of Thrones series, was they found that piece of film footage. Like, everybody thinks that photography and film was invented in the mid-1800s and stuff. It was around way before that.
They rediscovered it.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you start pulling through that old film footage, it was amazing how progressive CGI was. In the 12th century.
It really was incredible.
Amazing stuff.
And really, again, you see some of that other footage that they found. Obviously, we don't have dragons today.
No.
So some of that footage, and that's why some of that footage looks a little bit off, because they had to take the footage of the dragons that they had.
Right.
And then they had to edit it. You remember in Forrest Gump when he's shaking the president's hand?
Yeah.
Right. You remember how that looked kind of weird?
Yeah.
Right. Well, because that...
Are you saying Forrest Gump did or did not shake a president's hand?
Well, he actually did shake the president's hand.
Okay.
But all the other people in the room weren't there. Right?
Oh, I see. So when he shook Kennedy's hand, they had filmed that.
They had that piece of footage.
They had the footage of him shooting Kennedy.
Yes.
But some of the people in the room were different?
It wasn't actually. It didn't happen. It wasn't even really in a room.
I'm really confused. Things confuse me sometimes.
The problem
because we travel through time so much.
Yes, and the problem with the Forrest Gump is I don't want to start touching on some of the deeper lessons of Ergotron that tie into the Kennedy assassination.
Oh. You know what? I think our audience is ready for today. Let's dip our toe in the spiritual stream of consciousness here today.
Okay.
And let's talk a little bit about this.
Okay, so...
Because I think it's important.
Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Right, in the movie.
Yes.
Portrayed by Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Okay? No. Tom Hanks is not. There is no Tom Hanks.
What?
The man who has been playing Tom Hanks, quote unquote, is really Forrest Gump.
Oh, this makes so much sense.
What happened was, Forrest Gump met Kennedy.
Yes,
and this is all historical record.
This is it's all on the record, folks. If you just out there. Dig a little bit, the truth is out there.
Yeah, this is not the official narrative, but this is proven. I've talked to the people who know, and this is proven. So Forrest Gump obviously was working for the CIA. Knew about the assassination and tried to stop it.
That's why I was there that day.
Was unable to. And knew too much. And so they had to put him in deep cover. And so
that is why he emerged first dressed as a woman.
Correct.
On Bosom Buddies.
Because, and think about it.
Oh my gosh.
He was in the protection program with Peter Scolari.
Yeah.
Who has never been seen again.
Never been seen again. No one has ever. Folks, if you really, when we ask you to donate to the show, we're really asking you to donate to some of the great mysteries of life. Like, whatever happened to Peter Scolari?
Where is he?
Nobody has ever seen him again.
Nobody
Never
knows.
Again. Never once has he ever been seen again.
So
Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump, becomes one of the biggest movie star ever, I think.
Because
in the entire universe, not just on planet Earth.
No.
Okay?
Across the universe.
Tom Hanks, as they call him, is also a star on Mars. He is also a star. He's been in several Venusian films. Okay? They've even got a film program on Mercury right now, and guess who's the A-list star there? Tom Hanks, and I'm making air quotes with my fingers as I say Tom Hanks.
I mean...
Okay, not on Saturn, though. Not on Saturn.
It never really took off on Saturn.
No. Yeah, strangely, Jack Nicholson has always been
it is a weird
something
thing. I don't know.
With the rings and stuff. I don't know what that is. It never... They don't have a great film program on Saturn.
No, they're building it up. It takes time.
Well, it takes time to build a film program, but I mean, they've had several millennia.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they've never been big on Ergotron, though. I mean, let's be honest. And all our listeners on Saturn, I hate to call you out.
Okay.
But
Karl, every time we get into this, you start making fun of the Saturnians. Listen.
It's good nature.
It's all in good fun. I don't want you to think that we're prejudiced against Saturnians.
Look, I've been to Saturn. I've been around. There's some really nice parts of Saturn.
But you always make fun of them. You're always making fun of Saturnians because, first of all, you don't like their food. Admit it, you don't like their food.
Look,
I think it's delicious.
There are a couple dishes that I'm actually okay with.
Name one. Name one Saturnian dish that you like, Karl.
Squirrelocks.
Oh, okay. All right. Granted, Squirrelocks is.
I mean,
one.
I think everyone likes. I mean, that's like saying sweet and sour chicken.
Like
everyone likes. Sure, everyone likes Squirrelocks.
Squirrelocks, but I don't think you're going to get beyond. I don't think there's a number 2 on this list. Okay, I told you there is not a number 2. It doesn't go beyond the Squirrelocks.
If you give me Squirrelocks and Banjanderham, I like that.
Now, you told me a story about Banjanderham the last time that you had that, and you said it was awful.
Well, I had been drinking a lot. Because I was invited to Saturn.
That is the one thing. Saturnian beer, out of this world. Out of this world. Saturnian beer is really, really special. They make it with a special mineral found only on in one of it's like the 8th ring of Saturn.
Yeah.
That Saturnian beer, for those of you who aren't into interplanetary travel, Saturnian beer is just the best.
Right. Well, because what they do is it's that they take the mineral, they eat it, and then they have to let it process through their bodies.
Right.
And then when it comes out, and I don't want to hear people being prudish or squeamish. It's
Saturnians, it's a different culture.
It's
there.
completely
It's
normal,
a different culture. So
completely natural.
Yeah, don't make fun of Saturnian culture.
No.
I don't want this to be a show that's about putting down Saturnians.
No, I mean it's it's such a cheap joke. And they
do sound funny when they talk. Though.
I mean, well, no, that is.
They sound funny when they talk.
That's racist. No, that's JW. That is racist.
It's just the way the Saturnians talk.
No, but that. Look, we can't let that kind of stuff divide us.
All right,
because I think for too long, even though Grant, I mean, I know I've been down on Saturnian culture, but I'm hearing jokes these days like, what do you call, a dead Saturnian in the bottom of a pool? A good start. That's inappropriate.
Oh, that is inappropriate against. Yeah, okay. And that's going too far with it.
That's going too far.
But just making fun of their voices or whatever.
Look,
we're not gonna listen. You don't want to start a intergalactic war. We're having enough problems on this planet
as it is, and in this dimension. So what I would say,
in the United States.
Yes.
These Nebraskans are out of hand right now.
It's getting...
Nebraskans, if you're listening...
You guys need to knock it off.
You got to knock it off, Nebraska.
I mean, and I don't like to take that tone much.
Yeah.
But you guys are really getting out of hand.
Oh, my gosh.
You need to knock it off with the corn. And you know what I'm talking about.
If I hear one more thing about the Nebraskans, how great our corn is. Listen, I lived in Ohio, Nebraskans.
Yeah.
And we had good corn there.
We had great corn.
We used it for fuel and high fructose corn syrup.
Yes.
And other necessary products.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Nebraskan corn was better. I don't care. I don't think call themselves Cornhuskers or whatever.
The corn is good. You have good corn.
Yes.
But this rampant aggression about it is really getting out of hand.
It is.
So look, anyway, that's why Forrest Gump was in on the JFK conspiracy.
Okay.
He knows what really happened. He's in deep cover.
Connect the dots,
look,
people. Connect the dots.
In the name Tom Hanks, quote unquote, right? Mm-hmm. There's 8 letters.
Mm-hmm.
What other word has 8 letters in it?
Octopus.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Octopus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
you figured out,
guys. It's right there.
It's all
there.
All spelled. It's all spelled out.
Right.
Actually, octopuses.
Well, octopus.
Octopus.
Octopus with an exclamation mark at the end.
Oh, octopus with the exclamation point. Yeah, that's the Saturnian spelling.
Right,
so,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
whatever.
Exactly.
If you can't connect the dots with all of this,
right,
then
remember,
maybe this isn't the show for you.
Maybe not. But
maybe
the way to find out is buy our ebook about the teachings of Ergotron. We talked about it last week.
We did.
It's still a low price, even though the price has tripled.
Yeah.
So our low price, it's $60. It's 38 pages. The Inner Teachings of Ergotron.
Yeah.
I think you're going to start to see, once you get $1 million and you send us some, you get that ebook, you start learning about Ergotron, your life is going to take off.
That's what we're saying.
Fantastic.
Okay, my heart is kind of hurting just a little bit here, Karl.
Okay.
I feel like we owe the Saturnian people an apology.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Listen, I know that sometimes podcasts are meant to have a niche appeal, but I don't like it to be I was going to say a religion, a religion of exclusion.
Not yet. Not
and
until,
I don't want
not until our paperwork comes
Not till
back.
the paperwork comes through. I do not want to exclude the people of Saturn. And so just right off the bat, I just want to say I'm sorry for everything that Karl just said to make fun of you.
Right.
The things that I said were pretty accurate.
But
that's
again,
a joke. That's a joke.
It is. We don't. It is a little racist, but we do love the people of Saturn. We've been to Saturn a lot. I've got some of my best friends are Saturnian.
Really?
Yeah.
Name one.
Blornox. What? What? Blornox?
I'm just thinking about the last story you told me about Blornox.
Oh.
And now you're calling him a friend.
Oh, well, look. Blornox.
Well, if you ever get that Phaeton blaster back, then we'll start talking about Blornox again.
We have a complicated relationship, but I know in a pinch, Blornox has got my back.
I guess he does. I guess that's true. Yeah.
And I think it's, I have a better relationship with him than you have with all the people you met on Saturn. I mean,
well,
do you want to talk about that? Do you want to kind of explain what happened?
Listen, all right. Well, this was in the last time we toured.
Yes.
And it's, well, let's see. In Earth years, I guess it would be 1,245 years ago.
Yeah,
but, in interplanetary travel doesn't really translate into Earth terms. So
it was a Tuesday.
It was a Tuesday, and I had a speaking engagement, and we got up there, and as soon as we got on the microphone, I said, gosh, it smells awful in here. Yeah. Did a blurton flamuku? And as you can tell,
you can imagine the look on my face
when you accuse blurtons of flamutu. Then it's like you've lost the crowd. Totally lost the crowd.
My mouth was just hanging open. I couldn't even believe what you said.
If you'd have seen the look on Karl's face, it was worth offending a whole room full of Saturnians.
I didn't even think. I
wasn't sure we were going to get on that back in the...
I didn't think that, vibrationally we were going to be able to,
vibrate out of there.
If I could have ascended into a higher plane of consciousness, I would have.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
Yeah, but sometimes, ascending into a higher plane of consciousness is a good way to get yourself out of a situation like that.
You know who loved that joke?
Who?
Blornox.
I know Blornox himself loved it.
And that's
why I'm saying I don't understand why the Saturnians were so offended by it.
Well, Blornox, he's got a kind of his sense of humor is just a little bit off. Not that normal Saturnian.
But if you could say it to his face, then what. I wouldn't say anything to a crowd of Saturnians that I wouldn't say to Blornox's face. Okay?
Yeah. But Blornox, his sense of humor, the Saturnians, they just have a different sensibility. How would you describe it, their sensibility? It's hard to put in words.
Well, they're not as intelligent. Let's face it, they're not. They're definitely a primitive people. There's no doubt about that.
That seems unfair.
Okay.
That seems unfair, but they're they don't wear clothing, but I think that's more of a lifestyle choice.
Well, yeah,
and that's actually
one of the more attractive things.
Yeah,
about going
I actually
there,
really enjoy that.
Naked Saturnians.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Oh, sorry,
because I remember that night too.
I was back on
Trimictophobe.
Oh, I was back on Saturn.
I remember Trimictophobe. Because she had extras.
You don't forget. Trimictophobe.
once you're Trimictophobe.
Oh,
that's
Blornox has pictures.
Blornox still has pictures. He has those pictures of Trimictophobe.
It was
and the special time with too much Saturnian beer consumed that night.
It was.
That's fantastic.
Oh man. So anyway, but yeah, to the people of Saturn, I think we've acquitted ourselves well, and
that's it.
And that's it.
Listen, this is not definitely not a show about making fun of Saturnians. This is a self-help show that we hope is providing interplanetary self-help, not just to inhabitants of planet Earth.
Right. So that's why we have to. They make different versions of movies on Earth for different countries.
Yes.
With specific content, for that country. And we have to do the same thing for other planets. So
yeah.
And typically we don't throw that stuff in to the podcast people here on Earth. Because it is kind of it's a little disorienting.
Now, quick question. Have you been checking the statistics on iTunes? Because I'm curious how many of our subscribers are actually Earth residents and how many of them are residents of other planets.
Right. We're big on Uranus.
Okay. That is. You're laughing a little bit about that.
No, not at all.
What is funny about
I did not think
Uranus?
I did not think that we were going to get the penetration into Uranus
right.
that we have gotten. Is all I'm saying.
You are still laughing about penetrating my anus. No, you were saying it like the planet penetrating
like
Uranus.
Uranus, the planet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Look, we'll talk about that later, but
I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, I didn't expect it.
I don't understand what's funny about that. What is the?
I'm remembering that night on Saturn.
With all the Saturnian beer. Okay. All right. That is we've agreed that those were experiences that took us to a higher vibrational frequency.
Well, I said,
I ascended.
Yeah.
And then descended, then ascended, then descended, then ascended.
I was there.
Descended,
you don't have to tell me.
Ascending and descending over and over again. That's a spiritual experience.
I thought about when I said, because, obviously on Uranus, that's not how they pronounce the name of their planet. That's what we call it. But, they pronounce it differently there. But it just reminded me of being back on Saturn.
Okay, all right.
And you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go into that now. We'll put that in the show notes.
You know what? Maybe. Yeah, we'll. I think that we'll probably explore all the Saturnian lore in some of our upcoming shows.
I agree.
All right, let's get back to now. Do they have Facebook on Saturn?
Well, they don't really have faces, so.
Oh yeah, so that would probably be offensive to them.
Yeah,
to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe note to Mark Zuckerton.
Right.
Is it Zuckerton?
It's Suckerfield.
Suckerfield. Mark Suckerfield, the guy that started FaceTime here on this planet.
Right.
Maybe you should get a different name for it on Saturn, because that's offensive to some people.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a lot of these successful entrepreneurs are not sensitive, to things going on outside planet Earth.
I don't want to call anybody out, but you got a bunch of real globalists.
Yeah.
They really are only concerned with what's happening on Earth, and I feel like that's an attitude that has to change.
Except for Tesla, the guy that created the electric car.
Oh,
now has a space plan too.
Oh yeah,
and,
what's it?
His name's Tesla.
Tesla, yeah.
It's Nikola Tesla that invented the electric car.
Yeah.
And
now he
invented PayPal, and then he invented the electric car.
The electric car.
Yeah. Some of us read history, Karl, so I know these things.
It's not. I focus on Game of Thrones history, so more ancient history.
Oh, okay, all right. That's
yeah,
fair.
but that's good. That's why I think this show works so well, because we can cover different.
We complement
different
one
strengths.
another's weaknesses.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I have one last letter. This was a comment that again we got regarding something we mentioned last week.
I'm sorry. It just seems.
Yeah. No.
Is it kind of heavy?
I think this one is the comment of brilliant. Following up on last week's letter, I think you misunderstood my intent. You continue to insist that I said you're really quite brilliant, when in fact I was saying the opposite. You have this tendency to read what you want and ignore the rest when you are going through the questions, comments, and feedback on your Facebook page and website. Please stop using my letter in any manner associated with your reprehensible podcast. That was Dr. CC. Was it Dr. CCP?
That was Dr. CCP.
He didn't sign this one.
Well, I want to say thank you, again. And I think Dr. CCP touches on something that is very important, and we've kind of touched on it in this episode as well. Read what you want.
Yeah. Read what you want. People should always be free to read what you want. And anyone that's saying that...
Because you're only going to learn about Saturnian culture if you read what you want.
Yeah.
Because they don't teach it in school anymore.
They don't teach about Saturnian culture in school.
No, not at all.
That is ridiculous. Look at the brief. What about Martian culture?
They touch on it, but it's not like it used to be. Not when we were in school.
Venusians?
Yeah, they're still pretty heavy into Venusian culture.
Okay, well, as long as...
I mean, that's a win.
That's a win, but it's a small win.
It's a small victory. I mean, look at the grief we got over teaching the kids their own history in Game of Thrones. Oh, my goodness.
The educational system in this country is just crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
So look, when people write letters saying read what you want, I wholeheartedly agree with Dr. CCP. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Read what you want, Dr. CCP. Well, listen, Karl, I think that we are coming to a close on today's show. Any last parting thoughts that you have for people today? I think we've covered a lot today.
We really have covered a lot. I think the most important thing, just keep working your steps.
Keep working the steps.
Just step one, get $1 million.
Yeah, get $1 million.
And then go from there.
2. Yeah, don't forget two. Two is really key. After you get that $1 million, don't forget to send 11% or $266,000 by spiritual math.
Right.
To the Movie Brewdio podcast with JW and Karl.
Yeah.
The 11% Better Life.
Yeah, and
that's us.
That's us. And I think, keep monitoring your dog, because once you start working these steps, Ergotron will reach out.
Yeah.
And he's going to start revealing himself, and you just want to be ready.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, my advice is really the same. The same. Yeah. So once again, I'm J.W. Myers,
and I'm Karl Brubaker,
and you're welcome for the amazing spiritual and life-changing knowledge that you have gained today
by tuning in today to 11% Better Life with JW and Karl.
Thank you. And one last vibrational shout out to everybody.